I'm your host, Anita Sharma. Today we have, I'm going to get in trouble for saying this. We have one of my favorite clients. I'm just going to say it. I'm just going to throw it out there. She's an amazing YouTuber. She's a TV host. She's an actor, a former professional cyclist, a trailblazer that has successfully petitioned the TV Academy to have her show Challenge Accepted appear on the ballot at the Emmys Primetime TV Awards. Signed, Conversations with Digital Mavericks. 2025 Time Magazine Top 100 Creators List creator, Michelle Khare. And I probably missed about 10 things, but congratulations, Michelle. That is amazing.
Oh, thank you so much, Anita. It's so great to chat with you today. Also, hello to all the listeners. What a very generous introduction.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing is I probably missed so much stuff because there's just so much that you've done and achieved, which is incredible.
When we started Challenge Accepted, it has always been a show wherein I completely transform my lifestyle to different professions, communities, and other lifestyles. And sometimes that can be very straightforward, like spending a day working at a 911 dispatch office. But then other times it's sort of evolved into really big tentpole stunts like training for and attempting Harry Houdini's deadliest magic trick.
Yeah, which, by the way, I couldn't watch because I'm claustrophobic and that terrified me. And I was like, oh my God, this is crazy.
One is out already. The second one appears to be giving her a bit more trouble.
It was crazy. So yeah, I mean, that's a situation where, you know, I'm handcuffed upside down underwater in a glass box, escaping for my life. So I think one of the special things about Challenge Accepted is just the breadth and depth of things that we can explore in the topics that we can rediscover in a way that traditional media hasn't covered.
Yes, to say the least. I think that's an understatement, but absolutely. And what I definitely want to talk so much more about Challenge Accepted and the challenges and your motivation, but I feel like we need to go back to your days at Dartmouth. And I feel like this has to do with you being prepared, right? Like you've got this Ivy League background. You're clearly a very smart person.
Just as a daughter of immigrants, valuing my privilege off of their sacrifice was always at the forefront of everything and every choice that I made growing up. And ironically, it wasn't so much from pressure from my parents, which I know is the situation for some other people. But I was just like cosmically aware of everything that they went through to give me opportunities in the life that I had. And so for me, the expression of that gratitude was maximizing my life and really trying to live every moment in the fullest way possible by doing the absolute best that I could in school and all of the extracurriculars, all the sports and theater things that I did. And so it feels so silly now, but I mean, yeah, going to college and doing my best academically were all things that were important to me in service of their sacrifice. Now, obviously, are all of these things necessary to do my job now? I'm not quite sure. But I really value the sense of practicality that my parents gave me. I think that there is a culture sometimes of drop everything and start a YouTube channel. And I actually don't agree with that method. Like if someone were to come to me and ask, hey, I want to start a successful YouTube channel, should I quit my job to do it? I would say no. I would say,
oh, wow.
I would say that you should work on it every weekend after work and see if you enjoy it, see if you can make it successful, see if you can make some pieces of content perform well. As an extracurricular, because when you also place the pressure and the burden of financial stability on something that you at its outset are doing from a place of interest and love, it can impact, I think, the artistic integrity of what you're doing and also impact the pressure that you feel making it. And I think, what I did was I made this like year-long plan before I quit my job of here's what I'm going to do. Here's how much I'm going to save. Here are the phases. Here's how I'm going to measure success. If I totally flop my channel, here are all the people I'm going to call to see if I can get a job at their company. So having those plans was a part of what my parents taught me. They were always supportive, which is awesome.
Yeah.
But they've always,
that's incredible.
Really been precise with me about, yeah, you can want to do that thing, but you need to know how. And you need, like, what is the plan? What is the B, C, D backup plan? What data do you have to support that this is actually going to work? And so that impacted me starting my own channel and even today now. So while I think that that's really hard at times to get that feedback, it's been really important for me on the other end of success.
I mean, that's really, really incredibly helpful and interesting. I will say I'm actually on the other side. I don't think you need to go to college. I think, and this is coming from someone who went to law school. Even with my own kids, I look at them, and my husband and I totally disagree on this, but I'm like, I don't think they need to go to college. I think they can be entrepreneurs. There's a bunch of stuff they can do. And hey, I might change my mind, but it's so interesting to hear you say that. At the level of success you have.
I think people can decide whatever they want to do with school. I think it's less so about school and degrees than it is like, what is the plan?
What's the plan?
Top to bottom.
True. That's a good point. Exactly. That I agree with 100%. Yeah, you have to have a plan. And so you go to Dartmouth, and then I don't know if a lot of people know this about you, but you were like a professional cyclist. So
so random.
Yeah. I mean, why cycling? But also, it also explains, obviously, you're a very physical, very athletic person. But so you went to Dartmouth, but you had been cycling for a while. You were a national champion. So it wasn't like you just were on the cycling team. You were an actual champion at it.
Well, what's funny is I kind of fell into cycling because I came to Los Angeles on an internship during college, and I had no friends.
Oh, no.
And no social life.
That makes me sad.
Yeah, it was actually a really bizarre experience for me because
LA is a hard city to move to if you don't know anyone.
Yes.
So hard.
It was very challenging for me to go from, I think, that revered college environment of you're always seeing people, like everyone is primed to make friends and find communities and clubs, to the dichotomy of sort of being thrust right into a professional environment.
And you went to Google, right?
I did a couple internships. So my first one in Los Angeles was at DreamWorks Animation, which was really cool. And I later did a Google internship, which was awesome. But that was super interesting for me because the experience that most people have after college, which is the shell shock of adult life and responsibility, and it's hard to make friends, that happened to me, a couple years earlier because I was sort of thrust into this. I wouldn't say thrust. I chose to go into this professional environment situation, but I was shocked by, everybody's going home at 5, and all of my peers were in their 30s and 40s and had been in the industry for forever and had families and communities. Very few people were my age. And so one of the communities that I just became interested in was cycling. I saw lots of people in Los Angeles riding bikes, and I had one. So I thought, okay,
you're like,
maybe
I can do this.
Yeah, maybe I'll Google a group ride or something and see if I can tag along. And basically what ended up happening was I didn't make any friends anywhere else. And I just only went to cycling as a form of social activity. And when that's your only social activity, you're going to get okay at it. And I really enjoyed it. And it was a really cool way to learn and see the city and challenge myself. I had never really fully committed athletically to something like that before. And so when I went back to school, I joined the cycling team and had all of this fitness under me because I was training in sunny Los Angeles while everybody else was dealing with winter on the East Coast.
Right.
And did well. And then my senior year, won nationals and signed a pro contract. So it happened relatively quickly, which was surprising.
You say it so casually. You're like, yeah, one day I'm on the streets of LA and the next day I won nationals.
Well, obviously, a lot happened between. But I think I enjoyed this Hannah Montana lifestyle where from 9 to 5, I was making internet videos at BuzzFeed. And then after work, I was training. And on the weekends, I was traveling and racing all over the world. So I really got to this point where I felt like I could blend these two worlds and passions and saw an opportunity where there are plenty of shows about celebrities or comedians trying something for a day. But what would happen if someone who has no experience in something were to fully commit themselves to that thing? And had the best coaching possible, how quickly and how intensely could they, go in that path? I feel like I'm speaking kind of ambiguously here, but
no, that's very clear. I mean,
yeah,
that's incredible to learn about you, is that you took that experience of cycling and kind of jumping into it and working really hard and achieving success and like translated that to did that go right into Challenge Accepted? Because I know, so you did the internships at like Google, DreamWorks, and then BuzzFeed is kind of like where I think people started to hear about you, right? Where you started to be more sort of in the public and making those videos. And then, so just to step back for a little bit. So what do you think you learned? Like what skills did those internships and that BuzzFeed experience teach you?
I have always been grateful for those experiences in teaching me how to navigate professional environments. I think in our industry, there are situations where people achieve success very young and very quickly. And I've always been grateful that I have that experience working as someone's assistant, of grabbing coffee on set, of dealing with problems XYZ, because it allows me to be the best leader I can be. I don't know how I would have gained that experience otherwise. Also, like just knowing how to use Google Calendar and send nice emails and stuff like that. Those are all like really practical things.
How to write OK instead of just sending a K. That's a good
sure.
skill. Those are good skills to have. It's true.
But yeah, I navigated a lot of professional stuff throughout those experiences. How to receive negative feedback in a professional environment, how to get better, how to quantify my own progress as an employee and also as a leader. I also learned leadership styles that I didn't want to emulate when I started my own business, which I think a lot of entrepreneurs do. When you work somewhere or experience something, you're like, well, when I create my own thing, I definitely don't want it to be this, or I definitely do want it to be this thing I love that I learned. So I appreciated all of those experiences because I got to learn everything about the industry from the ground up. How to operate a camera, run sound, deal with celebrity talent, navigating agents, managers, corporate deadlines. And I think that experience gave me an advantage, specifically when it comes to working with brands, but also even in just everyday collaboration with other people.
Yeah. I mean, that I agree with you. And that corporate experience is so important and so helpful. And a lot of young people aren't necessarily getting that today, but even like a few years of it is incredibly helpful. And it sounds like you were able to like glean so much from it and know like, this is what I want to learn. This is what I'm taking away from it. So when you left BuzzFeed, it sounds like you had a plan. You were like, okay, this is the plan. You touched on it a little bit about getting to the idea of Challenge Accepted. And so was it just BuzzFeed, you leave and you go straight into making your own Challenge Accepted videos?
No, if you go back to the beginning of my channel, which please don't.
Insert here, we'll make a note to the editor.
I mean, I was making Starbucks drink reviews because Why?
Why
Because
not?
the cost of the production is the cost of the $3 drink.
Right. But what year was that, Michelle? Because
2017 when we
right,
met.
right. Well, here we go.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Obviously, I thought there was something in those drink reviews, but it's also like the quality of content. I mean, the quality of your content is incredible, and not everybody's at your level.
Thank you.
But since people were doing that, like people hadn't figured out the internet yet or content, right? So back then they were doing things like Starbucks drink reviews.
Yeah, and it was interesting because, again, if you look at the beginning of my channel, yes, there are random Starbucks drink reviews or reviewing Khloe Kardashian's fitness app, like that kind of stuff. But then every couple videos, you'll notice there's a larger production. I started my channel by kind of just throwing everything at the wall based on my budgetary restrictions of being a team of one. But I also made sure that I really wanted to do a bigger project once a month. So one of my first series that I did was a series where I would DM a stunt double, a superhero stunt double on Instagram. Let's say Holland Diaz, who has doubled on many of the Spider-Man films. And I would ask them, hey, would you train me for a week? And a lot of these people said yes, thank God. So I would train with them for a week, and then at the end of the week, we would shoot this cinematic fight scene where I'm playing my own version of Spider-Man. But through those fight scenes, we got to collaborate with incredible stunt people, stunt coordinators. I was like asking, my Nick's roommate's cousin twice removed has an Arri Alexa camera. I wonder if they'll let us borrow it for the weekend. Like, these were the types of connections I was just learning to exercise and really learning how to truly produce and bring a crew together with limited resources, who so generously offered their time and talents for these projects. So even at the beginning of my channel, I was always wanting to do bigger sets, bigger crews, and really push the envelope. It's always been, how can we make a title and thumbnail and concept that is so out of this world? You can't help but click.
Right.
But it's not clickbait, because when you click on the video, it's actually going to be that thing. That is the type of marvel I have always wanted to inspire with the work we're doing.
Yeah, and I love that hustle so much. And I tell, I have a lot of like law students will come to me like, how do you do what you do? And I want to do what you're doing. And I'm like, honestly, like, ask people for help, reach out to people respectfully. You'd be surprised at like how people will help, right? A lot of people want to pay it forward and they'll take the time to talk to you, or like these stunt people worked with you. And I think that's incredible. And also you were in LA, so that's awesome, right? Like you had access
yes.
to these people and those cameras. But I love the fact that you were not shy and you were just like, I'm just going to reach out to people.
I mean, I was freaking out every time I sent one of those DMs. But I think, Anita, you bring up a really interesting thing, that when we are hiring for our team, I am always looking for people who are doers and dreamers. I think there are so many people, especially in Los Angeles, that you can meet and they're incredible in a conversation. They're great at talking about their big vision, what they want to do. But are they actually going to complete and set out what they want? I mean, you see this all the time with people who make a short film and then, get an amazing crew together. They film it over a weekend and then it sits on a hard drive for months. Done is better than perfect, I think, 80% of the time. And so I think like in any profession, it's like, if you're a person who can complete something, even if it's a B or B minus, you're so much further ahead than someone who is holding on to perfection the whole way through to the point where they never finish anything.
Yeah, no, you have to just do it. I mean, look, this podcast is a good example of that. I was like, I just got to create some content. I want to do a podcast. We jumped in and started doing it, still working through it. And it's been an incredible experience. And it's funny because my mom used to always say, and she still says, like, you make your own luck, which I actually believe, right? There's some luck involved, but you kind of make your own. Like, you got to work hard and be in the right place at the right time, and then things can happen for you. So that kind of reminds me of that saying, what you're talking about. And I think I think that's amazing. So we always ask people like, what was your first post? And not necessarily viral, but the first post you made or the first video you made where you were like, okay, this is working, this has impact.
Let me think. I mean, we were fortunate that there have been many like little spikes and plateaus all throughout the journey. It's not been a smooth, steady point A to point B by any means as far as growth. But I think that the first few episodes we made that were the genesis of Challenge Accepted were really a huge turning point of the channel, because they were episodes where I was devoting my life to trying something for weeks at a time. And someone might hear that and look at our current output and think, our current episodes, I mean, and say, oh, so there's a crew, there's a big post team, etc. Well, in the beginning of Challenge Accepted, it was me self-vlogging, or me and Garrett, and then me and Garrett and our editor. And for many years of Challenge Accepted, it was just the three of us. So they were very big concept ideas that we were honestly kind of like cobbling together. Like, is it worth it for me to spend 6 weeks training like a Victoria's Secret model? I really hope somebody watches it. And we found this really, really special opportunity that I do not take for granted from our audience, which is, it's very special when the product you are passionate about making, in this case, Challenge Accepted, is also what the audience wants to see more of. We were making several different shows at that time, and Challenge Accepted was the one we enjoyed making the most, and it was performing the best. So we got to this inflection point where we realized, what if we just strip away everything else and only focus on this show, which is a bit of a gamble. But it worked out. And all throughout that process, every step of the way, we're constantly listening to the data in our audience about what we can improve and what needs to change.
Yeah, and what's interesting too is like there's so many copycats, right? Like of people creating, like they see somebody successful and they start creating the same videos, but they can't really do that with yours, with your content, because
well, some people do.
Well, they might
and
try,
I learned from that too.
yeah, no, but I mean stuff like, I mean some of your bigger stunts, like what you've been doing recently, or like, you know, I mean the FBI, the FDNY, like, or the fire department, like the lifeguard stuff. I mean, that's like, you're legitimately embedding yourself into these organizations, right? It's not like just, oh, I went to the firehouse for a day and like, you know, slid down the pole and whatever. It's like,
yeah, exactly.
You're actually doing like the legit training. And I will say one of my favorite ones, I would have to say, because it was so sweet how emotional you were, was the sanitation workers.
If you are not aware of what we do on a daily basis, come out and say hi. Come out and ask us. Come out and talk to us.
These people are doing this incredibly hard and necessary and essential work. And I really loved the people in that video as well. And I think that's, you know, the challenge part aside, I think what's interesting is the people that you're interacting with and what we learn about them. And I think that that's not really talked about enough with your content, is like, everyone's like, Michelle's doing this crazy stunt, look what she did. But, you know, I find it really touching, like the people that you actually, you know, interact with.
Yeah, I think if we're doing our job right with Challenge Accepted, and there's always, like I said, always ways we can improve, but yes, it's interesting that I'm trying something and doing it as fast as I can. But what's really special about every episode is we get to meet people who have devoted their whole life to that pursuit. Like you mentioned with the sanitation workers, Jackie and Joaquin have been working in the San Diego sanitation department for years. And hearing them speak about how much they love serving their community and doing this job, that is what is inspiring. And I love the opportunity to highlight these communities in a different way.
Yeah, absolutely. And we learned so much about them the way that you're highlighting them. So you had you had kind of a traditional TV experience with Karma. You hosted Karma on HBO Max. What was that like for you to go from being like primarily a digital creator and then thrown into that sort of TV environment?
Oh my God, I loved it. It was one of the best summers ever, honestly. It was incredible. I was so lucky to somehow like submit a self-tape and get to audition for this and book it was really special to me because JD Roth is, in my opinion, one of the greatest hosts and producers of docu-reality television ever.
Yeah, agreed.
He's made some of the biggest shows ever. And I think that he does it with a lot of grace and care. And I was excited about Karma because I watched JD host Endurance back in the early 2000s when I was growing up. And so to have the opportunity even to just walk in a room and shake his hand and before the audition and say, I loved Endurance. Thank you. This is awesome.
Yeah, it's like a dream come true. I mean, we were so excited for you when you booked that. I remember that.
Thank you. Yeah, and the shooting was incredible. And Karma was a survival show with kids who are living in the wilderness competing for $50,000, which is a lot of money for kids, in my opinion.
Hey, that's a lot of money for me. What are you talking about? 50,000.
It's crazy.
Sure.
And I loved it. It really was an exceptional hosting boot camp. I can look at my videos before and after Karma and see a marked difference in my hosting, my interview skills. Because prior to that, I had just sort of been a participant in whatever challenge we set for me.
Right.
But there, I really learned the role of the host, to how to prepare as a host, how to research, and how to make sure to have an editor's mindset while you're hosting. So there I learned how to, live when you are interviewing contestants, when you're commentating, how to have the mindset of an editor of that's the bite they're going to need. I need to re-ask that in a way that makes more sense for the edit. Like all of that situational awareness is why hosting, in my opinion, at its peak performance is a producer role.
Oh, wow. That's a really interesting take on it. And the really good hosts make it look so easy. That's the thing.
And when you watch Jeff Probst host, maybe to an external observer, he's asking great questions. I know Jeff has.
Yeah.
He's sitting there,
and then we're talking about Survivor. Yeah, the host.
Yes, now we're talking about Survivor. But it was things as simple as I had flashcards with all of the contestants' faces on it to remember all of 18 kids. You need to be able to recognize them from the front, side, and back of their head when they're jumping in the water, so you can call out commentary. You need to know their backstories. And so that you can understand where they're from and their belief system, so that the social dynamics make sense.
Right. So you can make meaningful commentary.
Yeah, exactly. And he really pushed me, which I appreciated so much. And hosting is also a skill set it's not like improv or stand-up comedy or acting where you can go to classes for it. If there are hosting classes, I'd love to know. But to my knowledge, there isn't a class where you can go and learn how to host a reality competition show, because it's so few and far between that you get the opportunity to. I mean, I even remember with Karma, working with the wardrobe stylist, Lindsay, who was fantastic. We were kind of like, so I believe... And I still can't believe that if this is the case. Someone correct me if it's not. At that time, I do believe I was the first female adventure reality show host.
Well, we're definitely going to have to look that up. But I'm trying to think back, like Amazing Race, Survivor, like all the big ones. I can't recall any women hosting.
Even if, and I don't even want to claim that necessarily, but even if there had been,
I want you to claim it, Michelle.
We didn't really know. And so I remember Lindsay asking me, what do you want to wear? Because the rubric for this is khaki shorts, button down, and baseball cap for all of the male hosts. So we sort of developed our own style approach even to that. But yeah, I really learned how to have that confidence in front of so many cameras and in front of so many kids, because kids are intense.
They're the harshest critics, man. They're not
They
going to mince
are.
words.
Yeah, but I
that's
loved
so
it.
cool. So taking it into like that experience and going back to Challenge Accepted. So I guess it was like teaching you how to think like an editor, and like, you know, you were able to like take some of that and apply it to shooting your own content. Where do you get the ideas for Challenge Accepted? Because they are so like out there sometimes, like the Houdini thing. Like, how do you come up with that?
Each idea we come up with kind of has its own genesis in a way. In fact, right after this, we have a brainstorm for upcoming episodes that I need to get prepared for. But I guess Houdini is an interesting example because it started with just, what if we did a Challenge Accepted where I learned magic and some card tricks and maybe some other types of illusions and performed at the Magic Castle and did a little set. And that's cool, but we were concerned for a few reasons. The first being that what I think makes developing something like that very interesting is seeing how a lot of it is done. And in a way, it could have been like against the magician's code to do so.
Right.
So we really needed a specific stunt, if you will, where we could show everything. And that was Houdini's water torture cell. We also thought it would be very exciting to just focus in on one single stunt and really make it an interesting historical piece about Houdini and his impact on fanhood, on audience engagement, in storytelling. I mean, he in many ways was kind of like the first celebrity ever.
Right. Yeah, I agree. That's really interesting. That was a very interesting take on that.
Yeah.
But also that stunt is so terrifying. Like, how do you overcome the fear? Like, how do you, I know that you guys go in and you've got this incredible team and crew. You take every precaution, but you're still in a water tank tied up,
for sure,
upside down.
It's a ton of careful preparation. We're not just launching into Houdini's water torture cell with one day. It was a 10-month journey of finding the right magicians who were willing to work with me to teach me how to lockpick. Many dead ends throughout that entire process. We had to find a group of engineers and fabricators who were willing to build a water torture cell. That's a crazy email to send, by the way.
Yes.
Can you build a water torture cell?
You're like, really? I'm not an insane person. This isn't an episode of you. I don't need like a sealed glass container.
I am making it a bit more dramatic than it is, I think. And we're in Los Angeles. Like, we're not the craziest email these people receive.
Exactly.
For sure.
Exactly.
But we were also, very particular about the stunt personnel we were working with. We worked with Steve Brown, who I've worked with many times before. He was on stunts for Avatar and many Marvel projects. So it's, 3 months of outreach and dead ends. Then it's 6 weeks of me actually training in a pool every day, learning how to hold my breath for 3 minutes and doing exercises underwater. And a lot of that doesn't make the edit, but truly it is every day I'm out there in the pool.
Yeah. Preparing physically.
Yeah. Simultaneously, our production is working on where am I going to perform this stunt? What insurance is needed to install a water torture cell? How big is the crew? Payroll for all of that, stage rentals, getting 100+ people and extras to show up to be the audience, having Sam Reich host it, safety on standby during the thing. And then after filming it, then it's a multi-month process to edit it, color it, and have it professionally sound mixed. And that's all for one episode.
Yeah.
So we're very, very particular about what we're going to do, but
who
I'm
you're
grateful.
working with.
what we're going to do, who we're working with. And in fact, we actually have this internal document. It's called The Keystones of Great Collaborators.
Ooh, I love that.
And it's a checklist. It's an actual checklist. And we will not work with a brand or a person, like a crew member, unless they check off every single item on this list.
Wow,
So,
I need to see
and
that list.
Do you want to hear it? I can pull it up.
Let's
Is that
do
fun?
it. Absolutely.
I feel like
Of course
we're getting
it
to the
is.
part where I'm like, I know all the hotkeys in Google Calendar, and like nobody gives a shit except for me. But that's exciting to me.
I give a shit. No, this is interesting because I want to talk. We have like about 15 minutes left, but I want to talk about just getting building the business quickly. And then, but I want to hear this. I want to like rhyme off a few of those points. My whole motto is just don't be an asshole. That's really the key for my hiring policies.
Yeah. All right. So here are the Michelle Khare keystones of great collaborators.
Ooh, take notes, people. I feel like we're getting a real scoop here.
This list has also led us to declining with working with brands, or even, like deciding ultimately not to do so.
It. You really stick
we really
to it.
do.
I admire that.
And maybe some of our decisions together behind the scenes, Anita, will make more sense now that you know this list.
All right.
Okay, so number 1, the brand or individual needs to have a proven track record and legitimacy in their field. Number 2, this individual or brand strives for a net positive in the world. Like they and what they are creating is for good. Number 3, this is a big one. They want to collaborate with us also. They see value in the opportunity to work together by taking time and energy to participate, meaning we are not a chore for them. And I think maybe everybody here listening has had an experience where you have collaborated with somebody and they don't see the value in it, but you see all the value. We're just like, if you don't see the value in what we're doing in our show and YouTube and our mission, then that's totally fine, but this isn't going to be the right fit.
Yeah. Makes sense.
The next one is they are timely, honest, professional, kind, and respectful of our time. So meaning if it's a brand, they're hitting their deadlines too to give us feedback and pay on time.
Yes. Very important. And
the next one is,
and not an asshole.
Yeah, not an asshole. And they are a person we want to platform and share with the world. We'd feel comfortable with our friends, audience members, family, and kids meeting this person and or using this product in real life. And then the very last one is...
Ooh, I feel like we need a drum roll here.
Oh, drum roll. The drum roll is, the very last one is, they pass the vibe check. We trust them on gut instinct. And I'll be honest with you, all of the other ones are very quantifiable, but there have been a couple, even in the last year, maybe you've noticed, Anita, where we're like, this does not pass the vibe check.
It's not sitting right. I will say this, whenever I've gone against my gut instinct, it has not worked out. And now I try my best to listen to it as much as possible. But I love that one. And that list is incredible. And that list is incredibly valuable. And I love that I know you and I know your team and your work. And it makes perfect sense to me. And it's a mission, really. Like that's kind of a giant mission statement for you guys. Like the net positive in the world. And, it's so important. And what a great way to figure out who you want to work with. And that brings me to my next question. So, you started with Garrett, who's now your husband. I love that. Your wedding pictures were so cute. I love Garrett. I've never even met him. When do I get to meet Garrett?
What?
In person. What? I know. I've
That's
seen your
crazy.
wedding pictures on social media, and you guys are so cute. I love it.
Wow. Okay,
I know.
We've got to make that happen next time you're in LA.
Exactly.
Next time you're in LA, you need to come to our new office.
Ooh, I would love that. That would be great. And so now you've got a COO, you've like scaled up, like you legit have a media company now. You're building and you're growing. What is your biggest challenge? Excuse the pun. What is your biggest challenge with your building your media company that you find?
Oh, gosh. Well, it's evolved over time. I'm not a person who got 1 million followers overnight. However, with the other skill sets I had learned from my other jobs and working at BuzzFeed, I was able to find early success. And by that, I mean like getting brand deals relatively quickly, even if for small amounts. I think that in the beginning of my channel, one of the biggest learning curves for me and challenges was learning how to manage and lead. I think that something that's been really helpful to me, and even nowadays, like I do CEO coaching. I see somebody every single month who is a professional CEO coach, and we go through everything together.
Oh, cool. And you find it helpful.
I love it. Yes. And I think that, a lot of my learnings were trial and error. And these are things like if you're working a corporate job, hopefully you get management training or you learn from other managers. I was sort of learning it myself, at 24, 25, commanding sets of 20 plus people. That was a big learning curve for me. But now, I think right now our biggest challenge is actually hiring.
Yeah, that is the biggest challenge for me too. Hiring is the hardest part, I feel, of running a business. It's so hard.
It's we're very protective of this special thing that we've created, and we have very, we've just got really. I mean, I just read the Keystones of Great Collaborators, right? Like that is a bare minimum for someone who is applying to work with us. So
yeah, absolutely. And listen, they would be lucky to work with you guys. And I'm sure you get tons of applicants, but I agree, like it's hard to find the right fit, but it looks like so far you've been doing a great job because I think your team is awesome. So they're great to work with. And so real quick, we got to talk about Tom Cruise because we touched upon it at the top of the episode. We have to get back to Tom Cruise. I thought the funniest part of that video, and we're going to link it for sure, you posted about where you went to the red carpet, you crashed it, you dressed as the old man, and people thought you were Tom Cruise.
Oh my God. Yeah, I could not believe that actually happened.
Listen, no offense to you, Michelle.
Insane.
I know you've talked about being 5'2", and he is, what, 5? I mean, he must be at least 5'5". I thought that was hilarious. I'm like, poor Tom. I was thinking he's a real little guy.
I think it was crazy. The whole thing was insane. But it was such a privilege to get to meet him, and he was so generous with his time. In the episode, we showed, one question that I asked, but I got to talk to him for like 7 to 10 minutes.
Oh, that's great.
Which is nuts. I asked many questions, but we only included, what was relevant to that episode. But off camera, it was a very special experience for me as someone who I think is really a pioneer of his time as an actor and DP. And also, the man, he just had his birthday last week. He's in his 60s.
Yeah.
And he himself is leaping across planes and performing these stunts. And I think about that often with Challenge Accepted, that the limitations of what is possible is entirely up to me. That is such a strange thing to consider.
Well, you and Tom Cruise have that in common, right? Like with the stunts and performing your own stunts, preparing for them, training for them. You definitely have that in common with him. I'm sure, like, listen, when he figures out like who you are and he gets a chance to watch your content, I think he's going to be so intrigued. And especially the plane stunt. I mean, you literally recreated the plane stunt of him hanging out the plane. And I hope you get your, due respect from him, because I'm sure he's going to see that and just be like, this is the person I was talking to. Like, she's incredible. But the plane stunt, like, how was that? I know that there was a ton of prep that went into that.
I mean, Anita, we were on the craziest phone calls of my life, like with the FAA. Hi, FAA, can we approve me strapped to plane as taking off? Like, to my knowledge, the only other people who have done this are Paramount, who made Mission Impossible.
Right.
So to follow in their footsteps with our YouTube channel was quite the adventure. But
I know. I wish I got to be on those fun calls. It's not like our calls aren't fun, but it's always like business, legal. I was like, I need to be on the phone with the FAA.
I feel like I give you enough to deal with, Anita, and you have so many other clients. I try to bother you as little as possible.
Oh God, no. Yours is always the really fun stuff, but
oh, thank you. Yeah, that is going to be one of the first projects in our I guess I can say this now, our partnership with Red Bull. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
Congratulations on that.
Which Anita helped us on, which was
Wow.
amazing.
I mean, you well deserved, and they are lucky to have you. I mean, you fit the brand so well. I mean, you are a pioneer. It's, you know, an adventurer. Like, it's the whole, I mean, it's great. Congratulations to you for that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm excited about it.
Yeah,
But
it's
it was our
great.
biggest shoot ever. I mean, it was a crew of 42 people. We had an airline crew, a helicopter with a chase Cineflex, a chase helicopter with a Cineflex, custom fabricators who installed red cameras on the side of the plane. It was crazy, the details of this project.
Yeah,
and that's what I'm excited about, is for people to see not just the training, because the training is really cool, but also how hard our team worked for all of those little things. Like,
I mean, you literally recreated a Mission Impossible shoot. Like, your team recreated
cool.
that. Yeah. That's amazing. So that's gonna bring me
we'll
to
let the audience be the judge of if it's good enough.
Yeah,
but I think it's pretty cool.
I mean, yes, I don't see how anyone wouldn't think it was cool. So that leads me into the last question. Then we're gonna do the lightning round real quick. The Emmys. This is so exciting, so well deserved. You campaigned with some other creators. I think Mr. Beast was one of them.
It was us, Good Mythical Morning, and Sean Evans' Hot Ones.
Awesome. Okay, we'll edit out the Mr. Beast part. Sorry.
I think they are also campaigning for their Amazon show.
I think probably that might have been where I got mixed up. But so you are going to be in the let me read what Variety said. Creator Michelle Khare's popular series Challenge Accepted has officially joined the ranks of television's top honors, successfully petitioning the Television Academy to appear on the ballot for the Primetime Emmy Awards in the Outstanding Hosted Nonfiction Series category. We got to clap. That is incredible. How does it feel? First of all, you so belong there. I mean,
wow,
what
you.
A trailblazer you are for other creators now to be recognized in this way. How does it feel?
I'm just excited that we got through the petition process, because to me, this is a multi-year journey. That's step one, is just getting on the ballot.
It's an honor just to be nominated.
Well, we're not nominated yet. We're on the ballot.
It's an honor. Okay, in this case, it's an honor to be on the ballot.
It's an honor to be on the ballot. And we actually find out next week if we get the proper nomination.
Ooh.
But let me clarify, too, that it's, to me, I have always believed that there is a crop of creators making TV quality, and I'm putting that in quotes, TV quality content. And if the Emmys are going to celebrate culture, impact, and new formats, it's impossible to ignore what's happening on YouTube. So this campaign has been really just about, getting our name out there and saying something bold and going for it, which is the mantra of Challenge Accepted. So this is our own little Challenge Accepted. But along the way, people have asked, like, why does it matter to get nominated for or win an Emmy? Because at the end of the day, there are plenty of extremely successful content creators who are not going for that at all. And they have multi-million-dollar businesses and they're set for life financially.
Mm-hmm.
Why does an award matter? And I think to that, I would say that there's a reason traditional media still cares about these awards, because it attracts the crew who want to work on these shows.
Yeah.
It attracts the fans, and it attracts advertisers who can keep the show moving forward. So to me, even just this conversation is a sign of a maturing industry.
Yeah.
And an industry that I want to be at the forefront of, because I think when I was growing up, the perception of making it in Hollywood was all about risk. It was all about move to LA, audition, get lucky, maybe you'll book something, maybe you'll be on a pilot, maybe the pilot will go. And it was all about the power being in someone else's hands. And I really, truly believe in the democratization of storytelling. And I want future generations to feel empowered that if they want to be storytellers too, that they can do so with the support of their own audience.
Yeah, and that is 100% spot on. And I love that saying, the democratization of storytelling, because it's so true. And I'll just say this quickly. I started in the traditional media world. I started mostly doing indie film. This is pre-internet. And my clients had no leverage, okay? They would toil away for years, get paid $30,000 for some distributor to pick up their film, and never see another cent again. And once I started representing people like you, digital content creators, it was like a light bulb went off in my head. I was like, these guys, there's no more gatekeepers. There's no more bullshit hoops to jump through. If you're creating compelling content, you can post it, you can find an audience. And that was a really exciting moment for me. And that's really how I built my practice. It's really interesting that you would say that, because it's so true. And I was actually in that old world and coming into this new world. And that's why I love representing creators so much, because I'm like, they have all the leverage, man. Finally, my clients had leverage. I could negotiate. I could, they weren't just giving their work away and for nothing. And so I love that. That's amazing. Congratulations. And I can't wait to see what happens with that. And I will also say, I do remember hearing you say on a podcast a while ago that there was nobody when you were growing up that looked like you. I'm so happy. I'm so excited that my kids can put on YouTube TV. They can see you up there. They can see what you're doing. And it's incredibly inspiring. And we need to see, faces like yours and people like you out there and on the big screen and inspiring people everywhere. So thank you for the work you do. And we're going to go into the lightning round really quick. If you could follow only 3 people, who would they be?
Caleb Huron, stand-up comedian.
Wow.
Love him.
That's so funny. You're the second person that said that who I've interviewed.
What? Okay.
Yeah, Drew Afwalo said that as well.
Oh my God, I'm obsessed with him. He's so funny. I love his podcast, and I actually have been following him like even before his podcast when Garrett and I went to his show a few years ago when it was like 50 people at some random comedy club.
What's one thing you always do before hitting post?
One thing I always do before hitting post is just like send a little energy into the universe. I don't know if it's praying or something, but I'm like, I really hope that everything we did to make this awesome has happened.
Oh, I love that. That's great. And what's one thing your audience does not know about you?
One thing my audience doesn't know about me, I'm obsessed. My dream car is a 15-passenger van. Love 15-passenger vans. I don't want a Ferrari, don't want a Bugatti, don't want a Lamborghini, but if any of those are sponsoring, obviously I'm going to take it. I want a 15-passenger van. You can fit everybody in it. You can fit all the gear. And in fact, I'll say one of the things I was most excited for the plane stunt was we got to go in these like fancy, this is so ridiculous, Mercedes Sprinter vans that you can stand up in, and each seat has a charger. I was like, oh, this is what I want. Now the problem is that all of these, big Sprinter vans are like, they're like $100K, like $150K. It's crazy.
I mean, I would assume
that's my dream
so.
car. I love it. There's so much space.
Yes, and a charger at each seat. That is key. That is
my God,
key.
I lost it. I was like, oh my God, guys, there are chargers at every seat. And everybody was like, yeah, okay, like whatever. I'm going to just fall asleep until we get to Merced, which is where we shot the video.
Well, that is
but I was
definitely
very
that's a
excited
good one.
about it.
That is definitely something I would have never guessed about you. And here's the last question, which is kind of a funny one considering we've been talking about your journey this whole time. But if you were not a creator, what would you be?
I would be a producer for another creator.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Maybe that doesn't count.
Wow, you are committed. You are in it.
I think I would be a producer buried in a spreadsheet somewhere.
Nice. Cool. All right. Well, on
Yes.
that note, we will wrap up. And again, thank you so much for your time, Michelle. And I'm super excited for you and what the future has to hold. And to continue working with you is amazing. And I am blessed. I am blessed for that. And so thank you. Thank you so much, Michelle.
Oh my gosh, of course. Likewise. Thank you, everyone who listened to our episode. Be sure to follow Anita.
Signed, Conversations with Digital Mavericks.